When someone you deeply love becomes fatally sick, you become sick as well. Yet the tyrannical sickness that overbeared me as I watched my father lie in his possible deathbed was as brutally painful as death itself. I knew my father had watched me take my first breath, and by no means was I ready to watch him take his last. Through my road less traveled, I realized that knowledge isn't the key to happiness, and that only when you dig deep inside yourself and pull out your true emotions may you begin to heal as a person. My father had always been my best friend and role model, someone I've loved and looked up to for absolutely anything. Knowing that, my whole life turned into an absolute nightmare, starting February 2nd, 2015, as my father was admitted to the Boca Raton Regional Hospital Medical ICU, and a doctor briefed me on the harsh reality of death. From that point moving forward, I visited my father every single day for 4 months, possibly for the last time. From the moment I walked into that hospital room, there was a stench of sorrow that pierced my skin and filled my fragile bones, as for the first time in my life, I was face to face with the morbid, striking reality of death, and my response was anger. Yet I wasn't angry at my father for becoming ill, a doctor, or anyone else for that matter. I was furious with myself. I obsessed over how I could let my father, someone I've loved my entire life, feel such pain, and more precisely, why I couldn't do anything to stop it. After weeks of praying, crying, and hoping for my father to recover with no improvement, I felt powerless. I felt shackled and chained by ropes of ignorance and grief, and thus I viewed knowledge as the only way for me to recover from my heart-wrenching anguish. In the month of my father's coma, I learned every minuscule piece of information that separated me from him. As I swallowed my emotions, I utilized textbooks and test scores as a way of freeing myself from the monster of grief that inhabited me. Even after my father's miraculous recovery, with him alive and well, that poison of grief still pulsed through my veins. I couldn't stop giving oxygen to the demon inside me. Then, after weeks and months of me relying on statistical information and knowledge to guide my emotions, the most valuable lesson I learned stemmed from the most simple of life's actions: a walk along my local beach. As my feet melted into the sand, the withered sandcastles, the infinite ocean, and the lonely beachgoers all reminded me that my emotions were only a microcosm of struggling people worldwide. I realized everything in my life had become second to education and grades, as I forgot the very grief that once humbled me in that barren hospital room. Before I could rectify my guilt, I had to deepen my understanding of myself and my responsibility of helping those who suffered just as I did. I've learned there's so much more to life than pure quantitative knowledge. And only when I turned my grief and pulled it outward did I understand that human nature of suffering that personally haunted me for so long. Helping other people has changed how I view the world. Although it's not easy for me to admit, I cared more about how smart I was than how kind I was. Since this realization, I've helped create 3 St. Baldrick Shave-a-thons, raising over $75,000 towards childhood cancer in our local Interact Club, shaved my head in solidarity of people suffering from cancer, and created our local health committee, which serves to help struggling families who are just like mine years ago. My heart bends every time I spread my passion to my peers as we make a true difference in the lives of people who are just like me. When I visit someone who's ill, we talk about sports, our families, and TV shows, without any mentioning of suffering. It's crucial to remind people they're more than just patients, as it shows although a disease may seem so indestructible, it's less than a fraction of a person's life. I've learned that although we are all unique in our own pathway of pain, we can feel so connected in those moments when we comprehensively love. In the fiercest of life's battles, the power of human connectivity and love will wash away pain and sorrow. It's easy to forget life is so much greater than a disease when it makes you feel so scared and helpless. My focus on knowledge and information was far subordinate to the warmth of human connectivity that aided in my recovery. I understand that it's easy not to help a struggling person when you stand from a place of privilege. But the next time you're in a struggle or see someone who is, lend out a hand. Sitting back and focusing on the finite details of a sad situation only made my pain worse. And if I had just valued love the way I valued knowledge during my time of sorrow, it would have saved me from feeling so much grief. At 14 years old, I thought this experience would teach me about death. At 17, I know it taught me about life. Thank you.